My name is Serenity, and this is my story. It does not begin with joy. It begins with trust, love, and a belief that life was finally kind to me. I once lived a simple life, and I loved it deeply. I lived in a small, quiet house with my husband, Lucas. He was my world. He had a gentle smile that could calm my worries and warm eyes that made me feel safe. When he laughed, my heart felt light. I trusted him completely. With Lucas, I felt protected. I felt chosen. We met when we were young, still in school. He was intelligent, funny, and kind. One day, he looked at me and told me I was beautiful. No one had ever said that to me before. I still remember how those words stayed with me. 2 years later, we were married. Our wedding was small, just family and a few friends, but it was perfect to me. I truly believed that our happiness would last forever. I also had a sister. Her name was Valentina. She was my younger sister, but more than that, she was my best friend. We grew up side by side in a small town. We shared a bedroom, clothes, secrets, and dreams. When I cried, she made me laugh. When she was afraid, I held her hand. We promised each other that no matter what happened, we would always protect one another. I believed that promise with my whole heart. After Lucas and I got married, Valentina moved to our city. I was so happy. My husband and my sister, my 2 favorite people, were now close to me. Valentina didn't know many people in the city, so she came to our house often. I liked it. The 3 of us felt like a small family. We cooked together, watched movies, laughed late into the night. Lucas helped her with many things, fixing her car, helping her find work. I thought nothing of it. I believed he was just being kind. At first, I didn't notice when things began to change. It happened slowly, quietly, too quietly for me to see. Valentina started visiting when I wasn't home. Lucas talked about her more often. He said she was smart. He said she was funny. I smiled every time he spoke about her, but inside, something cold and unfamiliar began to grow. I pushed the feeling away. I told myself I was imagining things. He was my husband. She was my sister. They were family. I trusted them. On my birthday, Lucas gave me a silver necklace with a small heart. I loved it. I wore it every day. It made me feel special. A week later, Valentina came to dinner wearing a necklace almost exactly the same silver, a heart, but larger, brighter, with a diamond. Lucas smiled when he saw it. I looked down at my necklace, and for the first time, it felt small. Soon after, Lucas began working late. He said there was a big project. I believed him. One night, he came home very late. I had called his office, but they said everyone had gone home hours ago. When Lucas finally walked through the door, he smelled like flowers. Not my perfume, her perfume. He told me his boss wore perfume. I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. Still, I tried to be better. I chose trust over fear. I told myself I was being silly. Our 5th wedding anniversary was coming. I planned a surprise trip to the mountains, a small house by a lake. I imagined us walking together, holding hands, remembering who we used to be. When I told Lucas, he said he couldn't go. Work again. My heart broke quietly. The next day, my friend called me. She had seen Lucas in the mountain town, holding hands with a woman, with my sister. In that moment, everything I believed in collapsed. I drove without knowing where I was going. My hands shook. My heart felt like it had been torn apart. When I returned home, the house was empty. Of course it was. They were together. Every room reminded me of a lie. I couldn't stay. I drove to my parents' house and cried until I had no tears left. When I returned, I faced Lucas. He admitted everything. The late nights, the lies, the affair. I asked him to leave. When Valentina came, crying and begging for forgiveness, I realized something painful. The sister I loved no longer existed. I closed the door on her, and with that, I lost my family. The weeks that followed were dark. The house felt empty. I felt empty. I took down every photo. I stopped sleeping. I moved through life like a shadow. But slowly, very slowly, I began to heal. I painted my walls yellow. I filled my home with light. I bought sunflowers. I took long walks. I found art again. I learned how to sit alone without feeling broken. I learned that I did not need anyone to make me whole. A year later, I saw Lucas and Valentina on the street. I felt no anger, no pain, only calm. They were my past, not my future. Now my happiness is quiet, but it is real. It comes from within. I lost everything, but in losing it, I found myself. Like sunflowers, I learned to face the light. And if you are listening to this with a heavy heart, remember this. You will heal, you will grow, and one day you will bloom again.